Welcome, welcome, welcome to today's webinar. We are so excited to have you with us, and we really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us. Today's webinar is a Microsoft and Citrix webinar, and it is titled, as exciting as it can be, Ask Me Anything. And I don't mean me personally as your host. I have a panel of experts that are going to field the questions for you. But we're going to cover an array of topics on Citrix and Microsoft Windows Virtual Desktop. So buckle up because it's going to be an exciting adventure for this webinar today. I am Sean Donahue, and I will be your host during today's webinar. I also host the critically ignored YouTube series, Shondo on the Go, and of course you can find me on Twitter for all of your latest news and information for Citrix and Alliance partners. Let's dig right into it and find out what we're going to be talking about today with our agenda. First, I want to cover some ground rules as to how to interact. We do want to make this an interactive session with your questions and our answers. We will be covering an introduction to WVD and Citrix if you haven't kept up with the latest and greatest on Windows Virtual Desktop and how Citrix enhances and extends these hosted desktops. We're going to get right into that with two of the greatest experts on that. We're going to talk about, of course, what is on the top of mind for everyone, which is business continuity and how to leverage the cloud in the face of a pandemic. We're going to touch into Citrix Managed Desktops, the offering that Citrix has for you on that. And then, of course, we're going to round it out with one of the world-renowned experts on Citrix virtual apps and desktop services, and we'll wrap it up towards the end. And of course, we want those questions, and we'll be fielding the questions throughout the segments. We'll have a question and answer period at the end of each segment with our experts. But we do have a panel of experts sitting behind the scenes waiting for those questions. And how to interact, you may be asking yourself. Well, Sean, how do I ask my question? I can feel it on the top of everyone's mind. There's two questions on the top of everybody's mind. The first question is, Sean, is your shirt supposed to be that tight? Well, you can't even see me, so I don't know how you're asking that one. The second question everybody wants to know is, how do we interact with this session? You ask questions in the chat window during our brief 3 to 5 to 6 to 7 minute presentations, and then those experts will field those questions as well. And then I'll be monitoring the Q&A panel during and throughout the event, and then we'll have a combined Q&A period as we move on to the next topic. And we, of course, will do our best to answer the questions live and online, but we'll also have a Q&A transcript at the blogs.citrix.com site post-event. Now is the moment you've all been waiting for. Who is this panel of experts that we have gathered for you? First and foremost, lead-off batter, we have Adam Lotz from Citrix Product Marketing, and Adam brings a wealth of knowledge with him. We, of course, have the esteemed Dan Jeffrey, who is a Microsoft Azure specialist working for Microsoft, and we have Kariki Valacherla from Citrix Product Management in the third position, and then our cleanup batter is Rob Beekmans from Citrix Product Marketing. Each of these presenters will be taking a section and lead us through it before we get to the Q&A panel. And I would like to invite to the stage, if they would, our first two presenters. I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Adam Lotz and Dan Jeffrey. Gentlemen, welcome to the virtual stage.
Hey, thank you, Sean. That was quite the introduction. It's great to be here with you guys. And as you said, please, everyone feel free to ask questions during these sessions. We'll be typing responses back to you in the chat, and we'll tackle some of them during the presentation as well. So Dan, take it away.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Sean. Good morning, everyone. So excited to be part of this presentation today and really get an opportunity to talk about this partnership between Microsoft and Citrix that is decades strong. And as we think about the investments that we've made that are coming through in the technologies we're talking about today, The underpinning of what we've done in Azure is what is bringing this capability to you worldwide. So you can see here we have 58, this big number in the center, 58 regions in Azure today. So these are the regions that are publicly accessible. You see all those little blue dots around the world. Each one of those is an Azure region, which is comprised of multiple Azure data centers providing the compute capacity for the capabilities that we're talking through today. And you see that other big blue number there, 16 billion. And that is the research and development spend from Microsoft in 2019 as we continue to invest in not just building out great capabilities, but also building out capacity so that you can have these services that we list out here. So we bucketize those into intelligent cloud and intelligent edge. The intelligent cloud is what we're providing from Azure, and the intelligent edge is what those capabilities look like, where you can take advantage of them and access them where you are.
Yeah, Dan, you'll see us talk about Microsoft Azure as the preferred cloud platform for Citrix, and there's a couple of different things I want to unpack there. So first of all, Citrix uses Microsoft Azure. So when we talk about the Citrix cloud platform, that's a set of Citrix services that are actually built on top of Azure, and they run the Azure cloud. And we've had great performance out of that platform. We're really happy with our relationship there with Microsoft. And if you saw the press releases from both Microsoft and Citrix just a couple of weeks ago, you saw us talking about the importance of that partnership to us and how we're really working together to deliver the best solutions for our end customers. And to that end, if we look at our own deployments, so customer deployments of the Virtual Apps and Desktop Service and the VDAs that those customers are running, we've got about 80% of those running in the Azure cloud today. And that's a great statistic and really shows how our administrators, our end users are leveraging Azure and really making the most of it for their environments. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. As the platform owner, Microsoft can absolutely build in optimizations and price benefits to run these Windows workloads on the Azure cloud. And they're really doing a great job of making it the preferred platform for our customers and optimizing the experience and the value that our administrators get out of it.
So when we think about these capabilities, there are a couple of really key aspects that I do want to make sure everyone is aware of. The first one is this Windows 10 virtual desktop experience, and the keyword here is multi-session. So what we've done is provided the ability to run multiple users in a single image, which is very similar to the capability that we've had in Windows Server, thanks to the Citrix partnership going back for generations now. With Windows 10 multi-session, now I can do that at a price point that is a cost, really an order of magnitude less than what it ends up costing when we do it through Windows Server. So this is game-changing in terms of the ability to do this at scale and make it available across your enterprises. The second point is also key, and that is the opportunity for these Microsoft 365 apps to be optimized in these images. So as we are providing the capabilities, making that experience really seamless for users. So the vision is really to get to a place where even though I'm using pooled desktops and optimizing for cost, that the user's experience is as if they have dedicated images built for them that are always theirs and customized perfectly for them all the time, right? That's the experience we want the user to have, but we want to do it at the price points where we didn't do any of that personalization for them. And really that's what you're seeing is these technologies come together to provide it at the lowest possible price points, at the same time giving the highest amount of personalization that we can do. And we continue to make that mix better and better, and I'm really pleased with the progress we've made there. And then, of course, we've got the remote desktops and applications that we're publishing through this methodology, similar to what you're already experiencing from Citrix and Microsoft. And then the last point, I think, is really where the cloud coming to this on the backside is our ability to deploy and scale in minutes. So we literally have customers, and we'll talk more about this in the next section, who through the crisis had a demand that appeared instantly for them with COVID-19, and we've been able to work with them and very quickly be able to get them access to capacity, get that capacity up and running, and it happens so much faster than what they were able to do if they needed to put out a purchase acquisition for hardware, get that hardware shipped, deployed, set up, etc. So tremendous benefit there that we want to give everyone that same flexibility.
Yeah, Dan, what I like about the Windows Virtual Desktop platform is just how much more accessible it's made the cloud for our customers. And it's really been very easy for Citrix admins to consume WVD and burst their environment from on-prem to Azure without having to have a lot of disruption in what's going on. And why don't you tell us a little more about who's actually eligible out there and who's getting WVD today?
Absolutely. So this slide really lays out a bunch of different places where you may be getting the access to this capability through the WinVD. Really comes down to one of two areas. When we're talking about clients, so this Windows 10 and Windows 10 multi-session access, including going back to Windows 7, that those are covered in all of these SKUs listed above. So if you've got that Windows client software assurance capability, it is baked into every single one of those SKUs. And then the alternate is if we're doing it through a server-based image, then we have to have that remote desktop services CAL with active software assurance. And that, if you have either one of those sets, then we can do those deployments and bring the power of this partnership through to you with Azure as the compute on the backside.
Adam, are you there?
Oh, hey, sorry about that. Can you guys hear me now?
Hey,
Thanks, Sean.
there
Yes.
you go.
lots of wins here for our Citrix customers, right? So when we look at our Citrix product lineup across Windows Virtual Desktop, we've got a wide range of offerings that will apply to you there. So everything from our newest offering, which is Citrix Managed Desktops. And that's a DaaS service that's simple and easy to get up and running. That's fully based on Windows Virtual Desktop on the back end. And then in the center here, our Virtual Apps and Desktops service, which of course gives you the most flexibility for how you roll out desktops, whether those are on-prem or in the cloud. And then Citrix Workspace, which is our comprehensive offering that has everything Citrix has to offer for you to really help you get a holistic view of your environment and roll out the best experience for your end users, regardless of their connection type. So it looks like we've gotten a lot of really good questions coming on the chat. Sean, do you want to get some of those over to us, and we'll see what we can do to answer them online.
My friend, that is an understatement. The Q&A panel is certainly lighting up with questions, so I'd be happy to field a few of them before we get into the next section. First one is an easy one, and actually it's so easy, I can answer it. We have a fan question coming in. Will this session be available later to view as recording? And the answer is yes. If you want to hear or see any of the presenters on this panel, there will be a recording. And I'm sure there's recordings otherwheres that you can catch these fine questions and answers. The next one I'm going to throw out there is a great question coming in from Fani, and they say, is there a limit to the number of sessions which are allowed in a Windows 10 multi-session? And Adam, is that one that you can field?
Yeah, I can take that. So I don't, and Dan can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's a hard limit baked into the Windows 10 multi-session instances, but of course it's not infinite, right? There's really a balance you're going to want to strike between your VM sizing and the number of sessions you try to apply to that image. So really, as you're scaling that out and doing some pre-production testing, you want to deploy a handful of users, monitor your resource usage, and then go from there. When we look historically at what Citrix admins have seen, depending on their workload on either a server multi-session or the Win 10 multi-session instance, it could be anywhere between a handful, 6 to 8 power users on that image, all the way up to 20 to 30, possibly even more, if you've got a very specific application set you're publishing. So it really just depends on your use case, but lots of tools out there to help you understand what the usage looks like.
Excellent.
That's exactly right, Adam. And part of what we look at is the balance of the type of work that those users are doing against the size of machines that you want. So there's a lot of options in terms of the size and scale of the VMs you deploy and those workloads through the applications that you do.
And for the next question, I think I'm going to pull Rob Beekmans out of the wings and onto the stage just for a second to answer this one. This one coming in from Justin, and they ask, when using multi-session, would it be a safe assumption to say that the underlying instance should be larger compute than what a normal VDI usually has?
Sure. Yes, I agree. It's yes. I was typing as yes, that's true, because with a multi-user environment, for each user you would need a specific number of resources, and of course with one VDI you have one instance per user, and this one you are going to share. So it's the same like it used to be with XenApp and MetaFrame and all those solutions that we had. You need 6 resources per user, and there are great docs and on a TechZone site to copy that. And we have a blog out, I think 2-3 weeks ago, we had a blog out about scalability where we go into that scalability of Citrix instances on Azure. I think it's worth to read.
And Rob, don't leave yet, because I'm going to tee you up for the next one since you're already on the stage. We have a question coming in from Gaurav, and they asked, does M365 F1 still provide the WVD free access? It does not seem to be in the website as of now.
I don't think there's anything of free access. Yeah, maybe that's for Dan. I think Dan can better answer that before I say something that costs Microsoft money.
Yeah, so the question about is WVD included? So I think that the F1 SKU has now morphed into a different SKU, but we can check on that, and I'll post an answer back into that question directly.
All right. And Adam, I think I'm going to do one more before I kick off the next section, if that's okay with you. We have one coming in from David. And David asks, my team and I will be shifting our Citrix management plane to the Citrix cloud this fall. We will have 2 diverse data centers with compute and storage resources and would like to be able to scale into Azure as resources are depleted in our on-prem DCs. Is it possible, and what does it look like from an architecture perspective? And maybe Karidi, maybe that's one for you, and maybe there's more of a reference than a long answer on this one.
There is more. There's one question more about this from him. So he also asks, in my mind, we're looking to burst into clouds.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great scenario for us, right? So that's really the long-term vision of where we want all our customers to get to. When we talk about how Citrix and Azure work together to give you a better experience, we want to help our customers take advantage of everything they have in their data centers today, and then burst to the cloud or migrate to the cloud as needed to take advantage of the benefits in pricing, scalability, and flexibility that WVD and the Azure platform get you. So yeah, Rob will talk about that a little more towards the end of the hour. But really, those hybrid environments are key for how Citrix views the cloud and what's important to us.
Excellent. And I think, gentlemen, we are at the time where we want to kick off the next section. But keep those questions coming into the Q&A panel. We've got our field of experts answering them as we go along. And Adam and Dan, don't leave the stage yet, because business continuity is right up your alley. So take it away, gentlemen.
Yeah, let's keep talking through this. So I'd say that, as we look at the cloud journey that all of our customers are on, the last couple of years have had some mixed results, right? Some people say, well, I'm still in the data center. Some people are going all to cloud, and some people just aren't sure what to do. And I'd say the biggest shift we've seen, possibly in the last 10 years, was the result of the COVID-19 crisis. So everyone had lots of different sorts of business continuity plans out there, but very few people were prepared to send all of their users home on a moment's notice. I think that's a really big shift in the way IT thought about their capabilities and the way the business looked at IT then to effectively keep them running. So one of the big fundamental concepts we want to get across here is that, the way people have thought about cloud has shifted dramatically just in a couple of months. And it's really all about our ability to evolve the systems and as the title describes, give people the power to work from anywhere. And I think that's very important to both Citrix and Microsoft. And Dan, I know at Citrix we've seen a big uptick in usage. Maybe you can talk a little about what the Azure platform has gone through over the last month or two.
Absolutely. So the changes that we've seen have been really massive adoption. The numbers of monthly active users and daily active users for WVD and what we're doing with Citrix have been tremendous. And what we've seen specifically in my area and my personal experience has been with our direct customers, where we've had tiger teams of our architects working with customers to get them deployed rapidly in order to meet the demand that really appeared for them instantly. So folks that already were set up and running at reasonable capacities, right, instantly those capacities were nowhere near what they needed. So it's been a tremendous change, and you can see from the slide here that yes, we have a few more customers, but the VDA counts and the WinVD adoption has been just tremendous.
Yeah, and this is actually a view that I've presented from the Citrix service control plane, right? So part of the benefits of Citrix running now cloud services and offering the Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop product line as a service-hosted offering is that we have a lot more visibility into what our customers are doing. And that's great because it lets us really evolve that service to meet your needs faster. And I can say just in the first half of this year, we actually saw more than a 4 times increase in the number of our customers deploying Windows 10 multi-session with Windows Virtual Desktop, and that's fantastic, right? We saw this huge trend in adoption. And not only that, but actually twice as many customers trying it out. So really big numbers, really big changes there in what's gone on in the cloud space. And as I talk to our customers that are fully on-prem, it's clear they didn't have the same advantage, right? So our total on-prem customers, as they were trying to grapple with this crisis, they were doing some pretty creative things to try to increase capacity. I even talked to one finance customer that basically took their DR site and made it part of their primary compute zone, overnight, right? So they managed to double their capacity. But then they said, the problem with that was they had no fallback plan. So they actually lost their DR capabilities as part of responding to this. And we look at customers that had already made that journey into the cloud or already testing out cloud environments. They were much better positioned to take advantage of this, to increase their footprint, to roll out more users from home and really deliver that secure experience. So I think a lot of good things have happened through here on the IT side, certainly in terms of building more robust environments and our ability to react and show the businesses that we all represent, how capable IT can be in dealing with this kind of situation. And as we look at what goes on, right, we look at the key drivers behind these deployments. It's nice to see Citrix and Microsoft so well aligned today, right? We all have the same goals around reducing costs, increasing flexibility, and giving users the ability to work from anywhere. And as a platform, Windows Virtual Desktop is fantastic for us to build on top of and really gives us a lot of capabilities now for our admins to take advantage of. And of course, our end users don't know what's going on in the back end, right? They're always getting that same great presentation of their apps and desktops. For an end user, it doesn't matter if that is running on-prem, running the data center, running on a multi-session Win10, running as a VDI. They're getting that same experience they're used to, and admins can be confident that their information is secure. So, Sean, it looks like the questions keep rolling in. Do you want to send us a few more to chat about right here?
They keep rolling in like the donut rolled off my desk this morning, Adam. We've got some really good questions coming in. You know what? I'm going to go with a question for Dan first. Dan, if you could take the microphone. Here's a good kind of competitive question maybe. And the question comes in from John, and they ask, what advantages does Azure have for me compared to other public clouds?
So that's a great question. And when we think about what we're providing, through the public cloud, I guess this is a tough question for me. So when you think about what we're providing through the public cloud, fundamentally that compute capacity and what we do with those systems is the same. The game changer for Azure is this Windows 10 multi-session capability. So Azure is the only place where you can get access to Windows 10 multi-session. And as I mentioned earlier, this is an order of magnitude cost difference in terms of your ability to use and operate the system. So what that means is when we look at what we're doing to provide a server-based benefit or a one-to-one system benefit, or if you're looking at competitive clouds to provide this compute capacity, you're looking in the $30-ish per user per month. And then on Azure, to provide that same capability, we're looking at less than $10 per user per month, and often even significantly less than that. So it's a huge difference at scale. If you just have a couple of users, it may not make a big difference to you. So you may if you're using another public cloud, you may say, oh, we want to go ahead and deploy our desktops there because we've already got our other assets there, and that can make sense. But if you're running any scale at all, the cost differences are going to be really compelling to look at this solution together.
Gotcha. Thank you. And I can tell that question speaks to you emotionally. You got all choked up, Dan, so I appreciate you fielding that one. Hey, Adam, the next question I'm going to throw to you, and it is very relevant to business continuity and the COVID pandemic going on. We have a question coming in from Leah, and Leah asks, Citrix may be seeing a big change in cloud deployments because of COVID, but what about on-prem data center customers?
Yeah, I mean, that is a challenge, right? And I think our on-prem customers have been scrambling to keep up with the demands that are being placed on them. I will say that when we talk about, cloud and hybrid and all of that at Citrix, the first step where we want our customers to get to is using our Citrix Cloud services, right? And I know despite the name, it should be clear that Citrix doesn't host virtual machines. You don't host your workloads. When we talk about Citrix Cloud, that's a service platform that runs on top of Azure. But moving to Citrix Cloud at first gives you flexibility. So you can keep all of those workloads you've already got on-prem, manage them through our cloud control plane, and then that's going to get you in the next step up in terms of managing this hybrid environment and being able to roll in virtual machines in the cloud. So using the Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops service, you can control both those on-prem virtual machines you have today, so all of your on-prem Citrix environment, as well as leverage these new deployments like Windows Virtual Desktop to help increase your capacity. So when I look at the customers that had the most success, that's really the sweet spot that they were in. There are customers that had migrated to the Citrix Cloud services. They still had most of their VMs on premises because we want people to keep using their existing data center, but they were really able to quickly expand into the cloud and take advantage of not just WVD, but native Azure capacity, sometimes other clouds, and we could really help them through this transition. And, we talk about the new normal a lot. That seems to be the buzzword of the day, and TV commercials even. And no one's quite sure what return to work is going to look like, especially country to country or the U.S. state to state. So it seems that people are really planning forward in their IT deployments for this period of uncertainty and a new heightened look at remote work. So I've seen a number of surveys out there that are really pushing back from the notion that everyone should be back in the office. And leveraging services like Citrix and Windows Virtual Desktop give IT a lot more flexibility and control and allow them to roll out these secure environments. So I think, starting to embrace these cloud services today puts everyone in a really good place going forward, regardless of what the next 2 to 3 years look like.
Excellent. And Adam, don't sit down yet because I'm going to have you do the next question, and I know how challenging it can be for you to stand up once you sit down. We have a question coming in from Jennifer. Jennifer says, I understand the benefits, but can I just add new cloud VMs to my existing environment? Do I have to buy something new?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think in many cases, for both the Citrix and Microsoft customers out there, the answer is no, you don't need anything new at all. You can just start rolling this out. So if you're a Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops service customer, which is a great majority of our deployments today, and if you have one of these Microsoft M365 entitlements that Dan went over, chances are you have everything you need right now. And as you expand into the cloud using Windows Virtual Desktop, you'll just be paying the Azure cost for those new VMs. So there's no penalty there. There's no new licensing you might have to buy. It'll literally be the compute cost, the storage costs of the VMs you're consuming, And that's why this is so compelling for our customers as a way to burst into the cloud and really extend their environments without having to buy a lot of new licenses, without having to retool their existing infrastructure. And that's super important to us, and Rob's going to tackle that a little bit later today.
Excellent, good to know, and cannot wait for Rob's section. But I am going to ask Karidi to take hands off the keyboard if everybody smells virtually smoke burning. That's because of our panel of moderators behind the scenes typing in the answers furiously in the Q&A panel. But Karidi Valacherla, if I could have you come to the virtual stage, please, and talk to us about Citrix Managed Desktops. Karidi, take it away, bud.
Thanks a lot, Sean. Hey, everyone. So I think one of the questions in the chat window was like, hey, which Citrix products can I use to deliver WVD workloads? So Citrix actually has multiple SKUs, so to speak, that are approved by Microsoft to deliver the benefits of WVD. And Citrix Managed Desktops is actually one of the simplest and the fastest way to deliver the WVD workloads. It is designed as a true desktop as a service offering. So if you now look into the high-level architecture here, you can see those desktops, the WVD workloads now being all hosted in the cloud, and you can use the HDX protocol to kind of remotely connect into these desktops. Remember, this service actually helps you deliver both apps as well as desktops. So if you just want your end users to have applications being delivered, you can use one of the multi-session windows, either the Windows Server or the new Win 10 multi-session. You can have your end users use the Citrix Workspace app clients, and then through that they connect into our Workspace portal and then launch the session. Once the session is launched, it is actually using the industry-leading HDX protocol to provide the best in-session experience. So you might also be wondering, hey, if these desktops are now running in the cloud. Remember, these are all running on Azure. Citrix has kind of built the solution on top of Azure. And you can have these desktops running in any of the various Azure data centers if needed. And now the question comes like, hey, do you have any technologies which actually makes it easy to connect to my on-prem resources? So we actually have a couple of mechanisms. We can actually make it easy to connect to your existing Azure resources through technologies such as VNet peering, and then if you already have connectivity back from your Azure to your on-prem, you can use that as well. Or we have actually made it easy to integrate with our Citrix SD-WAN solution, where we actually, you might have your appliance, SD-WAN appliance in a data center, and we will actually put in a SD-WAN VPX in in the cloud, and effectively those become like branches, and these instances can then talk to each other. So we kind of made it easy to kind of solve the network connectivity issue as well. At our NetNet, the whole solution has been designed for simplicity. We started the whole solution. We kind of started developing on this a couple of years ago. We launched it last year. So we made it a turnkey offering that has been our intent, not only from a deployment perspective. So within a few steps, you can get your first set of desktops up and running. We also made it easy in terms of procurement. So you can actually come to Citrix and buy all the pieces that are necessary to get going. So you can not only buy the Citrix licenses, but we actually bundle the Azure capacity if needed. You can obviously bring your own Azure capacity. We support either our Citrix Managed Azure or your own Azure. We provide you that flexibility. And also in terms of billing options, there's a lot of flexibility. So we have monthly billing options, or you can commit to a longer terms to get a better pricing. And for the underlying infrastructure, it is true pay-as-you-go billing. So we meter you on a daily basis how much you've used, and we charge you for what you've been using. And finally, as I said at the beginning, this is also one of the services that are approved by Microsoft to extend the WVD benefits. We have other solutions, like we have Citrix Virtual Apps and Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop Services and a few other flavors. They're all approved. So you can talk to your Citrix rep to kind of learn which particular service is best suited. But if you're looking for a true turnkey desktop as a service kind of a solution, we recommend that you go with the Citrix Managed Desktops. So now moving on, In terms of the benefits, so since it's all been designed for simplicity, I think the key benefits is all about the IT simplification. So we kind of have obviously the solution itself makes it easy for IT to deliver apps and desktop to any device, anywhere, and it provides you a centralized location where you can easily update your images so that you can deliver your updates to all of your users easily. It not only improves security, but also kind of makes it significantly simpler to manage your environment. The Citrix Managed Desktops takes it to the next level in the sense that we can actually provide you the hosting infrastructure so you don't have to worry about the infrastructure where your workloads are running in. You can just bring in your own image. We actually also provide base images with Win10 multi-session with Office 365 preloaded, so it makes it extremely easy to kind of get started. So, and also if you want to customize them, we have tools to make it easy to customize those images as well. In terms of the other, we also provide a lot of the benefits management flexibility to you as well through the solution. So it's not just about Win10 multi-session. So if you have legacy apps on older platforms, you can continue to run them. So we support all Windows versions, including Windows 7. So if you are stuck still on Windows 7 for some reason, and you need to continue to run them for a few more months, this solution can provide you the ability to run Windows 7 or Windows 2008 R2 all the way till Windows 2019. Also, we support Linux, for example, so you can actually deliver Linux apps and desktops side by side with Windows Virtual Desktop, Win10 multi-session if needed. So it provides a lot of flexibility there, as well as we have integrated monitoring tools so that your help desk agents can easily monitor the environment. If a user calls in from an issue, you can use our dashboards to quickly monitor and provide help to those users as well. But the biggest thing is it's not just management simplification, it's the end user experience. So it is the same HDX protocol that you have known, that we have built over 30 years, that same highly adaptable protocol that's what you get with this solution as well. So they can access from any device, also from a browser. We have wide range of peripheral device support. We continue to invest in the unified communication support. So we have Teams optimization not just for Windows, but also for Linux endpoints, and we're going to kind of continue to grow that list for other endpoints as well. We support other vendors as well. So it kind of provides you that flexibility and also the great in-session experience that you kind of expect from Citrix. And here's a sneak preview of how it actually looks like. So as you can see here, this is a very simplified version. To actually get started, it's really simple. All you have to answer is those questions that you see on the screen. You just tell us which VM type that you want, which region you want the workloads to be hosted. Tell us how many machines you want, give it a name, and hit go. And this solution supports, it's so simple because it actually supports non-domain joined workloads as well. So technically you can have desktops running in the cloud which are not domain joined, non-AD joined, and you can just hook up our workspace portal to the Azure AD. So your end users, if they have Azure AD, they're already used to it because of Office 365. They can connect to that, they can log in, and then launch the Win10 and get the benefits of WVD quickly. So it's very easy to get started. Get in touch with your Citrix account manager if you want to get a free trial. I think that was one of the questions as well. So we do have trial options across the board, so you can request one of them and try out the WVD benefits. So that's it, Sean. So I can take a look at the question and go from there.
All right, Kariti, don't go anywhere because we've had some questions flying into the Q&A panel that are really right up your alley. But for our audience listening now, Kariti is available for private parties and weddings if you're interested. But Kariti, the first question we have comes in from Paul. And Paul says, if I already have virtual apps and desktops, should I be looking at managed desktops from Citrix? That's for you,
Sorry, Sean, I missed the last part. What was it?
If I already have virtual apps and desktops, should I be looking at managed desktops from Citrix?
No, I think if you have virtual apps and desktops, you obviously have the WVD benefits. If this is the cloud service, you can do both apps and desktop. The key difference between virtual apps and desktops and managed desktops today is in virtual apps and desktop, you host the workloads in your own Azure subscription. So the Azure that you're bringing is your own. Citrix Managed Desktops today has an additional benefit in the sense that Citrix can actually host these workloads in the Citrix Managed Azure. You can also continue to bring your own Azure, but it also provides this additional option where we had some customers who wanted to kind of have a more simpler version and they wanted Citrix to do more, so it kind of has that additional capability. Yeah.
All right, Kariti, and don't go anywhere. I'm going to throw another question at you. Back-to-back questions for you today, Kariti, and this one comes in from Elizabeth, and Elizabeth says, do I get all of Citrix HDX with this product?
Yes. This is kind of obviously streamlined for simplicity. We kind of made the workflow simpler. You obviously get more management capabilities or more premium offerings. But with this solution, you get to use all of the HDX benefits that are available. All of the policies, you can configure them using group policy and enable them as you need it. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And just to give Rob the heads up that he's coming up to the stage next, Kariti, I'm going to give you one last question as Rob is prepping himself. And Kariti, this one comes in from Maria. Maria says, if this is DAS, what are the other Citrix products? And follow-up question, is WVD standalone also DAS? And by DAS, desktops as a service, we're talking.
So what are the other Citrix products that are eligible for WVD benefits, if that was the question? So we have a wide range of SKUs. So we have Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops. That is one. That's our premium virtualization SKU. We actually have a comprehensive digital workspace solution that extends beyond virtualization, which is what we call as Workspace Service, Workspace Premium Plus. That's the other one. We have a few other flavors. Citrix Virtual Apps is eligible, as well as the Citrix Managed Desktops. So these are some of the primary ones that are eligible. To think of the question about WVD versus the Citrix Managed Desktops, in WVD, the native WVD, you are bringing your own Azure workloads, and you're kind of responsible for your workloads in a way. We offer that with Citrix Managed Desktops. You have the same flexibility. You can bring your own Azure, and you can do that. But just as the difference between Citrix Managed Desktops and Virtual Apps and Desktop that I described earlier, Citrix Managed Desktops has this additional capability where we actually provide you Citrix Managed Azure as the hosting infrastructure, where Citrix is taking on the additional burden of managing that infrastructure. We give you the ability to bring your own image, but we will be hosting it. So it's kind of goes slightly beyond what native WVD provides.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kariti. I appreciate your time. And the moment you've all been waiting for. You may have seen his sold-out tour in Wembley Stadium or his residency in Las Vegas. Our next presenter on Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop Service, I'd like to welcome to the stage Rob Beekmans. Rob, come on up here.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you. What a way to introduce somebody. Okay, let's get going. So let's talk about Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop Service. So Kariti just spoke about Citrix Managed Desktop. It's our Azure-only offering, tightly integrated with Windows Virtual Desktop. If you have workloads running on premises, you can't move everything to Azure. Citrix Managed Desktop is not for you. For that scenario, when you have workloads running on premises or elsewhere, Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop Services would be the solution of choice. So Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop Service is a service which is running in Citrix Cloud, just like Citrix Managed Desktop is running in Citrix Cloud, and it allows for workloads to run in any location, also on premises. And you can manage your Azure and on-premises workloads side by side. That's a main thing there. You can use the same images for both on-premises or in Azure by using app layering. Citrix First Labs and Desktop can, just like Citrix Managed Desktop, run WVD workloads. So if you are looking for WVD workloads, but you cannot move away from on-premises completely, as I saw in a couple of questions, then this would be the choice. So you can make use of Windows 10 multi-session in Azure, but you could still run your XANAPP environment, your CVET environment on premises also, managed from Citrix Cloud. Where am I? So with Citrix Certain Apps and Desktop, you can extend your compliance, security, and business requirements to cloud. So to make that more visual for you, it's about adding a watermark, it's doing session recording, it's keylogger protection, screen scraping protection, endpoint analysis, and so much more. All the things that you would need for compliance, for compliancy. And it's all available when running your environment from Citrix Cloud with Citrix First Labs and Desktop services. That's quite important. And it allows you to transition to cloud at your own pace. So Citrix First Labs Desktop service, I keep calling service because that's quite important here, allows you to deploy WVD workloads among them Windows 10 multi-session, where we scale better than any solution out there. I put a link to the blog to a number of people. We put a blog out a couple of weeks ago. And run different workloads on premises and manage all of them from a centralized cloud console. In that same Citrix Cloud, many other services are available and they complement each other. So in one console, you have access control, you have micro apps, you have a user environment manager, you have all kinds of services that can complement this solution. So we grouped this in a top 10 slide, and there is not enough time, and I answered a lot of questions already in the questionnaire. It's not enough time to go deep into every one of these value adds, but I want to highlight a few. And performance and security analytics and advanced monitoring is something I think is really important because no organization can run a desktop environment without good monitoring and support tools. So with Citrix Analytics services, we are offering that, and an admin has a burst view on issues. And he can zoom into locations or users. Let's say he sees that the GPO is causing issues. So he will see on a burst view on a certain location the GPO is causing issues. And that's hindering the user experience. So he can fix that and then solve it for a number of users. And if he needs more specific issues with one user, then he can go to Citrix Director, zoom in, let's say even into channels, you can zoom in and see what's going on for that specific user and fix issues there or shadow the session and take a look at what the user is doing. And another thing that I would like to highlight is Citrix app layering. I think app layering is quite often seen as simple application management, but it's really more than that. It's image management because with app layering, you manage the whole image. So it's you install it. Normally, it's a day one exercise in image management. That's how everybody thinks about image management. You install an image, you install an application, you deploy the image, and that's it. But then come day 2 and day 3 and et cetera. And those days are way more important because suddenly you have to update an image or you have to delete an app and you have to remove something, add something new there. And everything what you do leaves some temporary files behind. And after many changes, the image becomes dirty and might perform poorly. And the user experience is going down. The image might even break. And you have to reinstall everything from scratch. And then you have to, if you didn't automate it, you have to remember what you there did. So with app layering, each layer can be installed in its own layer, updated in that layer. So layers are merged into one image. And then so you have an operating system layer, you have a platform layer, and that depends on where you deploy. So you have an Azure platform layer, but we have a Visual platform layer, we have a Nutanix platform layer, and you add many app layers. So once you say I deploy in Azure, you take your platform layer, your OS layer, your app layers, you merge them into one, into the image, and that image you can deploy. That has zero performance impact. There's Login VSI webinar that you could look at where they go into this. This has a zero performance impact. And if you needed to update something, then you open the layer, you update the application, or you create a new application layer which you really want to start clean. You merge that again into an image, And with that, you don't have any temp files left behind. And with that, you are not corrupting the image. You always have a clean image and you have a perfect running environment. So that's, I think, quite important. And maybe the last thing, Citrix provisioning is, of course, a really powerful thing. If you run Citrix Cloud, you can still run PVS on premises. And with PVS on premises, you have versioning and you have fast provisioning of new images. And that's, I think, as far as we can go here, so that we have a little bit of time for questions, because I see we have a massive amount of questions coming in. So, Sean.
That we do, Rob. Thank you very much. But don't go anywhere, Rob, because I'm going to pick a couple of these questions out for you while you have the microphone. But I love, Rob, I told you this before, and I will tell you it again. I love this top 10 slide because it's something I hear from customers and partners all the time, and especially one auto scale. Because a lot of people take it for granted that when you burst up into the cloud with your workloads, when those users or employees aren't using those virtual machines, they may continue to run in the cloud, and they may continue to use consumption, which of course is increasing power and everything else that comes at the end of the month in your consumption bill. So with something like Citrix Autoscale, they set the policies and spin them down when they're not in use.
That's what
and I really wish that I could tackle my weight that way, because I just keep growing and growing and growing, but I never spin it down. So Autoscale is the way to go, if you don't want to do PowerShell scripting, of course. But Rob, we want to get into a couple of questions here. Let's see. I've got ones. Yeah. I see some interesting ones as well. I'm going to give you the softball one first. And we only have a couple of minutes left, but I do want to assure everybody who's listening, the questions are being captured. There will be a blog spun up later on with all the questions and answers that you can reference post-webinar. So Rob, first one for you. How is provisioning different with Citrix than WVD alone?
With Citrix, we have versioning there, and we deploy a difference disk and things like that. So, but there's also what I just said with app layering. With Citrix, you could create an image based on layers and merge those layers into an image and then deploy it at MCS, which gives you a lot of control over the image. So that's
gotcha.
If you run something on premises, then you can run that same image. You can deploy also with PVS. So that makes it different.
All right, and I have another one here for you, maybe Karidi, but I'm going to start with you, Rob, since you've got the microphone in hand already. This one comes in from Fani, and Fani asks, can Director monitor even WVD-based VDIs as well? Is there an agent installation needed for doing so?
But I think that he means WVD workloads running that run Citrix, because we do not monitor, of course, Microsoft WVD workload. But Citrix workloads running WVD, so Windows 10 multi-session and so on, yes, we of course monitor that with Director, very much so.
Okay, and I am going to push the limits of this webinar no matter what our producers say. We've got a question in here. Mahendra is thinking along the lines that I'm thinking. They say, can we have the top 10 slide? I love it. And I agree with you, Mahendra. I love it too. This entire session is being recorded, and you will be able to view it on demand later. But I am afraid panelists and experts, our back is against the wall. Our time is up. Personally, I feel like we could go at least another 30 minutes on this session, but unfortunately, we only paid for the room for an hour. So I'm going to end it here by thanking everyone for joining us, taking the time out of your busy agenda today. Thank you for joining the Ask Me Anything. Don't forget, follow-up email at wvd@citrix.com. The Q&A transcript will be available soon at blogs.citrix.com, and the landing page, the one-stop shop for all things Citrix and Microsoft alliances, is citrix.com/Microsoft. And with that, I'm going to thank our panelists, Dan, Adam, Karidi, and Rob. Thank you for your time today. I'm going to thank our producer as well. Thank you for making this go off without a hitch. And we look forward to seeing you all on the next webinar. I'm Sean Donahue. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.